Without any further ado, let me introduce JUC's new president, Dr. Oliver Hersey. Dr. Oliver Hersey is the 11th president of Jerusalem University College, formerly known as the Institute of Holy Land Studies. He received both his master's and PhD from Trinity International University and has excavated in Israel and traveled throughout Jordan and Egypt. Dr. Hersey served as a lecturer for several years at North Park University and pastored as well as at a suburban church in Chicago in discipleship. His wife, Andra, couldn't make it this morning, is a clinical psychologist and has already put her experience to good use with the students on campus. And we're also missing, we're not forgetting their lovely children, Henry and Penelope, along with their dog, Marley, who I don't know if we'll hear or not. So Dr. Hersey, I know we have a lot to cover in the next 20 minutes. So if you would, please take us away, tell us what we're doing, tell us a little bit more about yourself.
Absolutely. Thank you, Michael. And yeah, Andra couldn't make it this morning. You know, she just loves to wake up at 4 a.m., but today just wasn't one of the days she really wanted to wake up at 4 a.m. Michael, thanks for getting up at this wonderful hour. And thank you to all of you who are joining us at whatever hour it is. For you, if you're in the United States or Canada, welcome. We're glad you're here. I want to introduce you to a couple of other people on our staff as well who play really significant roles for our university. You may have heard their names. Maybe you've even emailed with them in the past. But the first person I'd like to introduce you to is Mr. Ed Schoenleber. Ed is our Vice President of Development here at Jerusalem University College. And Ed has been on staff for a few years. He was hired back in 2017. He took a little break due to COVID. And he and his wife both serve at this school. He is currently with us here in Jerusalem. His wife is with some of you maybe on the west side of Michigan. And they will be reunited this weekend. I'm excited for you, Ed, to be able to see Tina.
Very much.
But Ed, why don't you share with us? I wanted to introduce you, and I also wanted you to share a little bit of what we're trying to do with our end of year focus and the end of year campaign. So Ed, do you want to chime in?
Sure. It's again, it's wonderful that you all could visit with us this morning. It's great to see a lot of familiar faces. And a lot of faces that I really don't know, but you know, we're all part of I think a real historical time for JUC. Just a great opportunity here that we have to help one another promote and strengthen that JUC heritage. And I believe that we all have that responsibility. One of the ways that we're looking to do so this particular upcoming season is by enhancing the students' personal learning and living space. You know, we're talking about not a real, it may be exciting thing to some people, but to many, it is a very exciting thing. And it's the students' dorm space. And, you know, dorm space isn't just a place for students to sleep. I mean, students, they begin their day there, they end their day there. They spend private time there, study time there. And it's really an important space. And it's a space that really hasn't been looked at for quite a few decades. Some of our furnishings are on the order of 40 plus years old. Fixtures in the room are over 50 years. And so it's an area that we think we can really help enhance the environment for the students here at JUC. You know, about 20% of our students spend, or I'm sorry, about all of our students spend about 20% of their time. It's still early here in the morning, I think, you know, but you know, it's not surprising that in a place where, right, we read the land, that our students spend about 20% of their time actually in the field, kicking the stones, walking the land, seeing, you know, touching, tasting, feeling the environment. And that's why they're here. And they spend probably close to 50% of their time in the classrooms, in the library, studying and doing the things they need to do. But surprisingly, they spend almost 30% of their time in their dorm rooms. And so this is one of the areas that we're focused on. Some of the things that we're looking to do to improve that space is update the lighting. As I mentioned, it's quite aged. Most of the items there need to be replaced with modern furnishings that are conducive to today's JUC students. Of course, we have Wi-Fi, but we want to improve that. Of course, we have electric in the rooms, but we want to enhance that Some of the electrical plugs in the country date prior to 1989, and you might say, well, what's the big deal, Ed? What's 1989? In 1989, the state of Jerusalem, they changed the actual plug that they used universally in the country. And that means that half the plugs probably in the university, you can't efficiently use without an adapter or something like that. And it's a real inconvenience for students. So we want to do things like that to help them in the space that they have. We have currently 27 dorm rooms that we can fit up to 108 beds in. 13 of those rooms are in buildings, a building that's over 85 years old. I don't know how many of you have a home that's over 85 years old, but you can imagine after 85 years, you'd probably want to do a little facelifting to that room. 14 of those rooms are in a building that's over 165 years old. And these are buildings that weren't built to accommodate electrical and plumbing and heating and things like that. And so that's part of what we're looking to do to enhance that space for the students. And we're actually excited about it. We have yesterday, just if I could, Oliver, we recently received a complete dorm, new furnishings for one dorm room for up to 4 students. And it's kind of like our prototype room that we're looking at. And you should see the excitement with students going up and down that hallway, wanting to take a peek in to see, you know, what's on the horizon for them in the future here studying at JUC. So I hope that does it.
Yeah, no, that's exactly right. That's exactly what we're looking to do. One of the things that we are really hoping to do is to be able to raise the necessary funds to help make this happen, because I was with a student yesterday as well, Ed, and a couple other students as they were getting ready for the next semester. And it's always a concern for every student about finances. And in a state, an environment in the world where education costs continue to rise, I am adamant that we do not raise the costs at all for students in order to maintain the building or take care of issues here and put that weight on students' shoulders. That is, in my opinion, something I want to avoid completely. And I really would love for those of us who have the ability, myself, you, Ed, everyone, to be able to think about how can we contribute. So on that note, I want to shift over to another person I'd like you to introduce who really makes a lot of things go behind the scenes in the American office. It is evening for you, Mr. Jeff Evans. Welcome to this phone call. I hope your kids are well asleep now and everybody is healthy in your house. But Jeff, maybe you could just give us an update real quick on how we're doing in the campaign these first 2 weeks, just to give everybody kind of a glimpse into that.
Absolutely. Well, first off, thank you to all of you who've already contributed or supported JUC in some way at the beginning of this campaign. We just got some of the very first checks in the mail today. And so we're right around $20,000 that have been contributed so far, which is enough to start our first 2 dorm rooms, which we're really excited about. So we've got a ways to go, but it's a good start.
It's great. Thank you, Jeff, for that update. We're glad that you were able to join us. Something that Jeff and I were just texting about a little bit ago is our board. Jeff and I got a chance to meet with the board of directors in Dallas, Texas, about 10 days ago. We had a really great meeting with them. We prayed together. We prayed for this campaign. We've prayed for the leadership here at JUC. We've prayed for the transition out of COVID and all that's going on that we continue to navigate and work through. And we talked together as a board about what could the board contribute towards the end of year campaign. And I can't be more proud and excited about what our board has done. They've raised over 10% of the goal of $300,000. They've pledged to contribute $36,000 together as a board, which is really remarkable. There's 100% participation on our board. Then Jeff and I have both turned to our staff in America and Jerusalem, and Ed's a part of that. And we have encouraged our staff to give as well. And they've all committed and pledged to also give some amount, whatever they can afford. They give a ton already, but even $10 is helpful is what we've told our staff. And we are excited to say that we have 100% of staff participation in this end of year campaign. And so I want to challenge everybody listening, anybody who's ever been at this school, who's part of the 30,000 alumni, whether you've been a short-term student and been built JUC tough through the dorms here with no heat or hot water, or you have gone through a long-term program and built even more JUC tough, might I suggest, with the challenges. I want to encourage you to think about how can you continue to help another generation or two become also JUC tough through studying in Jerusalem University College. It's not just the dormitory experiences that make you JUC tough. It is the experiences of sprinting up Masada and trying to beat the record that make you JUC tough. It is the experience of the sweltering heat of Wadi Kelt as you hike with your friends and family through the hot beating desert sun that make you JUC tough. One of the things we really want to do is just help students have internet and safe electricity and a conducive space to be able to study as they prepare themselves for Christian ministry and leadership, whether that's in the church or the academy. So if we had 100% participation among our alumni, we would surpass our campaign efforts. And to me, that would bring me great joy because I could turn to the student I was speaking with yesterday who said, I don't know if I could study here another semester or another year. And I can tell her, we have actually a surplus in our scholarship fund now that we can now issue to you and our other students. So I'm encouraging everyone to think about and to pray about what they can give. I know our board has done that. Our staff is doing that. And I want to encourage you to do that as well, because we really, really are blessed to be able to operate off of, as a nonprofit, off of the funds that so many generous donors contribute and give towards this mission of training Christian leaders and teachers to make an impact in the kingdom of God for the church. And we really want to continue doing that into the future. There's a few things I wanted to update you as well as we talked with the board. I shared with them 10 days ago. Our short-term programs have not run in 2 years. That is a significant, that means we have not been able to bring almost 1,500 people into the land to study, which is, that in and of itself is very sad. I want to invite you to continue praying for us because we really need and we want to be able to start bringing short-term students back into the land for the sake of our mission and trying to educate and train leaders. Many of you have been a beneficiary of those programs. So pray for us. We were hoping to begin programs in January. We're expecting to begin programs in January, although there was announcements this week in Israel about the new variant of the COVID coronavirus strand and how that might impact travel here. We also are hoping to have another great spring semester. We have nearly 50 students again joining us in the spring, which is remarkable. We're really excited about that. And then we're going to also offer, as you probably already know, another 5 online courses. And as I had students come through our office here in JUC who are registering for our in-residence courses, they all say, can we sit in on one of these online courses? They look great. Or I'm excited to take one of these online courses when I graduate because they look so awesome. And then I have people that I'm bumping into in Dallas who are so excited to be signing up for the online courses. The 5 courses that are being offered, I want to take all 5 of them myself, but I don't have time. So I just want to encourage you also to check those out. And part of what you guys all do to help support JUC is allowing us to do another online seminar again for free. We want to offer it to everyone we know across the board. It'll be online. We have some really amazing speakers. They haven't been announced yet, but I'm going to announce them to you since you stayed up late to be on this meeting. We have Dr. Rick Hess from Denver Seminary, who's going to be presenting. We have Dr. Lynn Kohik from Northern Seminary in Chicago, New Testament scholar. We have Dr. Steve Ortiz, the archaeologist from Lipscomb University, who now is overseeing the Lanier Archaeological School there. We have Dr. Todd Bolins over at Masters. Many of you have seen his photographs. He's a brilliant one of our alum from JUC. Dr. Petra Helt, one of our very own long-term instructors, who's a very well-known German church historian. She'll be presenting as well. And there are several others that I could name, but they're escaping me off the top of my head. So it's a real exciting lineup. There's going to be 8 total. We're really hoping that we can get Dr. Gabi Barkai to be one of the 8. We aren't sure if he's going to be able to or not, but he is hopefully going to be on the docket. And I know he's impacted so many of you in years past. So that's the update. We are excited about all the different things that we're doing. It's a lot, but the team here at JUC and in the Xenia office are really working hard to put all these things together and to make this thing go. We really are hoping to meet our goal of 300,000 in order to make sure that for the next, what was it, Ed, 85 more years, and for the next 30,000 alum who pass through the doors or the gate, the bullet hole gate at JUC, get a chance to study here. So thank you for joining us. That is our 20 minutes. I'm going to go ahead and pray for our campaign, and then we're happy to stick around and answer questions. It'll only be my first cup of coffee, but I promise I'll be able to answer some. So let me pray for us, and thanks again for joining us. Thanks for tuning in. We're hoping maybe to make these updates a regular occurrence. If they're of interest to hear updates from JUC in this fashion, we don't mind getting up at 4 a.m. every once in a while to share with you. So let me pray for us, and then we will close our time. Lord, thank you. Thank you for the school. Thank you for all the professors who've been here for the last 65 plus years. Thank you for the leadership that has come in and out of this school, and for the steady leadership of Dr. Paul Wright and Diane Wright, and that through their leadership, the school was able to withstand so much and rebuild itself. I thank you for each of the men and women on the call today who've tuned in, who care about JUC, who care about what we're doing here. I pray, Father, you bless them this holiday season, and that you give them health and protection from all kinds of illness. I pray, Father, that you draw close to them in their needs that they have. I thank you for Jeff and for Ed and for the whole staff of JUC, and Lord, the people you've brought into this ministry. I pray for all of our students right now, those who are going through the final exam week. I pray, Lord, you steady them, help them to continue preparing themselves for the calling you've placed on their life. And Lord, I ask that you'll help us continue to take care of this really old building that's on a hill that you know so well. And I know it's not even that old compared to some of the things you know, Lord, but it's old to us, and it's going through the tests of time. And so I pray, Father, you help us to steward the gifts well, and to take care of the resources well, and to restore and renovate. And I pray, Father, for another, whatever you have it, 30,000 men and women maybe to come through our short-term programs, our long-term programs, our semester abroad programs, our online programs. Teach us, Lord, teach us your word through the professors here, and help us to sharpen ourselves as iron sharpens iron, that we will go out into the world to share with them and make a difference, so that the world will know you are God alone. I ask these things in your son's name. Amen.
Thank you, Dr. Hersey. Thank you. If you have any questions for Dr. Hersey or Jeff Evans or Ed Schoenleber, please feel free to put them in the chat box, which you can access. Just type out your questions, and we'll stick around for a little bit and try to answer them as they come.
Well, questions are coming in. I wanted to highlight something that Ed said. He said that we have just completed, or we've brought in some of the furniture needed for this new dorm room as a prototype. And I wanted to let everyone know, be checking the emails from JUC, because in the coming weeks, you're going to see one of those updated dorm rooms with contrasting pictures of what it was before and what it was after. So for some of you, it's been a while since you were at JUC and in those dorms. Some of you maybe have been on our campus but never been in a dorm room. It'll give you an understanding of why this is such an important step for JUC to take in updating these spaces for students.
So Michael, I'm looking through the questions. I see only one question, perhaps.
I see a couple. I actually have one question directed to me. It says, any plans to modernize the kitchen? Ed, do you have anything to add there?
Absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah. So yes, we do. As a matter of fact, the board has recently received, significant plans regarding the entire campus. It's one thing that we've been charged to do as a team here in country is to evaluate the physical plant, the physical facility, and determine those areas that need attention. And yes, there actually is a plan looking at the kitchen. There's a plan looking at all aspects of the facility. The first area that we determined to start with was actually the dorm rooms, though, and I hope that the kitchen is in short order. Will be on our plate to take care of also. So yeah, so stay tuned. Who knows? Maybe it'll be next year's campaign. I'm not sure.
So one thing I forgot to mention, since it's Tuesday here in Jerusalem, we're starting right now. So if you did decide you wanted to give a small gift towards it, or maybe you've been afflicted with a lot of resources and you need to give a large gift, we take large gifts as well. You can go ahead and do that right now. Any gift being given right now from now until the end of Tuesday in America, we're going to stretch Tuesday out. We're going to stretch Giving Tuesday out as long as we can. We would love to have 100% participation to any degree. Really, anything helps. That's one thing I wanted to note. Another thing I wanted to note is that the dates for the seminar, I see someone was asking about that. It's going to be Saturday morning, January 8th, and Sunday afternoon, January 9th, Eastern Standard Time zones. We're doing that to avoid encroaching upon worship times on Sunday morning, and also from gobbling up your entire Saturday as well. It's going to be little less presentations than the year prior. But they'll be just as dynamic for the sake of educating you and stimulating your minds. So I'm looking at other questions. Is there a threshold that will allow a donor to put a plaque on the door with a person's name? No sympathy for 4 a.m. folks. Thank you so much. I like, oh, this is from Dr. John Monson. Of course it is. That's a great question, John. I've been thinking about that. I have not actually talked about it with the team. One of the things I was thinking about was maybe putting together just a massive board somewhere on campus with all the people who contributed towards the campaign this year, kind of as a way of celebrating the JUC team and family that have made up this wonderful push. So it wouldn't necessarily be a name dedicated on a door. That said, if someone really wanted to write a huge check and cover a whole dorm, maybe we could explore that. It's a good question.
Contributor's wall. I like that. I'm getting a few questions, Dr. Hersey, directly.
Oh, great.
One question to me is, I expect to be in Jerusalem in early January. May I bring some students with me to campus to meet both of you and your wife?
I think that if it's directed to you, maybe they want to meet you and your wife.
Well, no. To meet, no, sorry. It says you and me. So yes. Whoever that, so yes, just everybody absolutely can hang out with us.
Just so everybody knows, Michael's wife also works at JUC. She's our executive administrator and registrar. She basically does just about everything at our
yes. She
for those of you who know,
Dr. Yeah. Another question for you. Dan Laventry is asking about what about renovations for the kitchen and the director's apartment? So I believe that's where you are.
The director's apartment has already had the bathroom renovated prior to us moving in. And we did also have new windows put in because we have little children and they can easily push the windows out of the socket because they were so old. So in order to be safe and not have any children falling out of the 3rd floor of campus, we've put in new windows upstairs and a fresh coat of paint and a new bathroom. So that's great. In terms of the kitchen, we had hopes to renovate it, but COVID happened. This was before I got here. Before I got here, COVID happened, and we've not had any plans to restart that. And frankly, in my opinion, when I've looked through the dorms now, this is priority for us. I want the students to have the most conducive spaces to learn. And I think if we get to a place where we can do the kitchen, great. That'll be eventually where we go. In terms of the kitchen, that's a huge project that will cost quite a bit. Ed has, so just so you guys understand the gift of Ed to JUC, and Ed's never going to say this, but Ed has gone through and literally with a team of surveyors over the last 2 to 3 years and gone through different areas of campus and has priced out exactly what needs to be done. And just so you understand what Ed's background is, he's had over 25 years as a vice president. He served over 25 years as a vice president in an international company, construction company that did bridge building. So Ed is a huge gift to JUC. He felt called by the Lord to go into the pastorate. He served as an executive pastor for several years before God thankfully called him here to JUC. And we have really reaped a lot of benefits from Ed. And I don't say, Ed doesn't even care if I say this, but I want everybody out there listening to know what a gift Ed is. Ed has gone through and basically priced out everything what we need to do. We just simply need to raise the funds and do it. And it's really exciting and it's really encouraging to see what Ed has envisioned. And I think in the long run, it's going to create more space on campus so that we can have more students on campus working on graduate degrees or graduate type programs. But we can't do those things until we have the resources here to do them. And so hence we're kind of taking a small step by trying to raise the $300,000 for this first project that we felt would make the biggest impression right away on campus for our students' sake. If you're here in January and you want to visit us, our gate is always open. I would love to meet you in person. That's an open invite to anybody that's on the call right now. So Michael, that's the first question that had been asked.
Wonderful, wonderful. Dr. Hersey, Ed, this may be a question for you. David Flint is asking, what is the funding needed per room?
The funding per room, Jeff, you might have that actually off the top of your head, but I think each room is about $10,000 per room. You know, and at 27 rooms, that's like $270,000. So that's what it costs per room, roughly.
And that includes, Ed, that includes safety measures like electrical matters that the furniture.
I'll go through the list. Yeah, so it includes making it a much safer, warmer, more conducive environment. So we're going to upgrade the lighting. We're going to upgrade the electrical in the rooms. Some windows will need to be replaced. Oliver mentioned earlier. Some of these windows they're over 50 years old, and the harsh summers of Israel really take their toll on them. We will be completely changing out all the furnishings in the room. So there'll be new beds with new mattresses, with new pillows, with new wardrobes, with new desks, with new chairs and things of that nature for them. So the entire dorm room will be pretty much renovated in that regard. So
that's good.
Thanks, Ed. Hey, Michael, I want to rattle off a few answers real quick to questions in the main chat, and then we'll come back to the ones that you have too. Real quick, some questions I'm seeing here. What is the process for designing and starting a new specially arranged program with JUC? Real simple. You should go ahead and go online and, just make it real easy. Email Jonathan Webb at juc.edu. Jeff, can you type that into the chat? His email address?
It's even simpler because you can just email admissions@juc.edu, and any one of the three of us in the U.S. office are going to respond back to you, depending on what the question is. So it's just admissions@juc.edu, and I'll go ahead and respond with that directly.
Great. Thank you so much, Jeff. A future student here, Karina Khan. I want to know how many total credits I needed to graduate. If we're looking at doing one of our MA programs are all 48 credits, except our Middle Eastern Cultures and Religion program. That's 49 credits because it involves a practicum. So typically think 2 years for a program in residence full-time. The is JUC needing any volunteers to help with the renovations? That's a really great question, Patricia. And if you are interested in serving as a volunteer, that's something we are always open to discussing and talking about. Some of the projects require specialists and hired contractors to work on, but some of the other things that we might be focusing on doing don't require necessarily a specialist. That said, perhaps you're a specialist and a contractor in a certain field. So if that's the case, I would encourage you to email myself, Oliver Hersey at juc.edu, or you could email Ed Schoenleber at juc.edu as well, because Ed would be able to answer questions for you as well. You may not know how to spell Schoenleber. So Ed, do you want to put your email in there as well in the chat?
Yeah.
Great. What is the refund policy if Israel or the US restrict travel? So our refund policy is stipulated on the website. I know that when Israel has restricted travel, Jeff, do you want to field that from?
Yeah, I can take that. So if we cancel any program because of COVID, or somebody has already paid, and between the time that they pay and the time the program's supposed to start, Israel locks down, we refund everything except the $50 application fee, which covers the cost of the maps for the student.
Great. And I would encourage anybody who's thinking of traveling to Israel to just purchase some travel insurance that would cover COVID-related changes to your travel. That way you can recoup, hopefully, some of what you have spent. I highly encourage that right now in today's day and age with traveling here, especially. How many students are in a room? Cynthia Kenyon asks. Do we have anywhere from 4 to 6 students in a room? It depends also if it's a short-term group or a long-term group on campus. Short-term are here for a short amount of time, and we will often put a few more students in those rooms because they are not needing the room the same way a long-term student needs the room, which is allotted to a lot of study time and reading. The long-term student, if it's an MA student, we really try to organize the room in a way that's conducive for the MA student who's focusing on their degree. We usually put less MA students together in rooms where we'll put more undergrad semester abroad students in a room, just because it's a different type of student and a different focus on what they are doing. So it varies, but I would say roughly on average 4 to 6, depending on the size, depending on the type, etc. Great question. Is a percentage of each room, this is from Kathleen, this is a great question, being set aside for deferred maintenance? Thank you for that question. So this is something the answer in short is none of the current campaign funds that we are raising is going to be going towards deferred maintenance. That said, we understand that deferred maintenance is necessary, not just for rooms, but for all kinds of things, vehicles at JUC, maintenance for, things in the kitchen, et cetera. We will always be budgeting for deferred maintenance and replacement costs. Those will become starting in July 2022. They'll become part of our working operating budget that we get approved by our board of directors. I've challenged and pushed all of our board to be on the same page with that. And that will be a new initiative that we will be pushing forward as we seek to grow JUC and build it into the future.
Dr. Hersey, I see a question that came in really early in our evening asking about, can funds from the US Peace Corps be used for a short-term program? And I just want to say, if those funds come through the Title IV fund program for the Department of Ed, we can't use those funds. However, if they come through the VA benefits program, we can receive those funds. So I want to just make that distinction, and anyone who wants to use VA funds at JUC is welcome to use those.
This is a great question about the character of our dorm rooms. And they have some character. That's one of the things we love about JUC. We will not be doing anything to any pre-existing character components of stone or natural components of the bedrock. The hallway in the South Dorm area is bedrock. We're not touching that. That's awesome. We don't want to mess with that. We love it, except when it rains. We don't love it a lot when it rains, but we manage along just fine. Any of the floors that are original ancient stone, things like this, we will not be messing with, or all we'll seek to do is tender love and care to it to make sure it is preserved and cared for. but we will not be changing any of those components. That's a great question. And you should know that we have no desire to ruin any of the beautiful character of this really cool building. So thanks. Michael, I know you have some questions that have been sent directly to you. I'll let you jump back in.
Actually, we covered all of them as far as I can tell. So I think if there's any more questions, please feel free to send them. Otherwise, I think we are good for this meeting.
You're good, Michael.
Thank you, Dr. Hersey.
Well, we really appreciate every one of you. Thank you. I know some of you on this call because I've been able to meet people over time. I definitely don't know all of you, and I hope I get a chance at some point to meet you either in person or virtually. I really enjoy getting to know the history of JUC. I really believe we can't move forward well into the future if we don't know where we've been in the past. And I've made it a real strong point in the last several months as I've taken over the reins here at JUC to really get to know the past as much as I can in order to help work with Ed and Jeff and Michael and the team here to lead us into the future well. So thanks again. God bless. Have a wonderful Monday night.